When HAVN released the first case, the HS420, the internet exploded with coverage about how great it was. So when HAVN was showing off the successor to it, the BF360 at Computex, there was obviously plenty of interest, and well, it is finally here. They just sent us one for review, and this is pretty much the only case I was looking forward to this whole year. Now, right at the bat, one thing that's obvious is that attention to detail is really at the core of this whole launch. Like for example, when you unbox this thing with handy instructions on how to do it at the top of the box and the beautiful presentation of the instruction booklet and accessory kit at the top. Not to mention the fact that it was also probably the easiest case to ever slide out of the box. And what makes unboxing it even easier is the fact it also comes with a handle. Yes, really, there's this tiny little fabric strap at the very top, making it just as portable as the GameCube. However, will you trust this tiny little strap with the whole weight of the case and all of your components inside? Well, I'll leave that up to you. But if you can actually lift it up by just that thing with everything already inside, then you better be entering the Olympics or something. Another example of this detail I'm talking about is the front panel, because all of these ventilation slats, both at the front and top of the case, are not just randomly positioned. In fact, they are perfectly aligned with the fins of the fans behind them for maximum airflow. And as you can imagine, you can take this entire front off. The kind of material and color of it is going to be a bit hit and miss with many people. Some will appreciate this granite looking texture, while for others it would look like it's already been pre-dusted. And while it is going to look slightly different if you've gone for the white case with a more of a marble look to it instead, I still see it as a missed opportunity for some really awesome designs for the front panel. I'm surprised they haven't created a wood grain one to compete with guys like Fractal and, well, pretty much everyone else who makes wood grain cases nowadays. Now let's take a look inside. While it's easy enough to get the side panel off, it's not actually toolless like some cases nowadays, and it doesn't even use thumb screws, not to mire the side profile of this case. Another thing I noticed about the side panel is that it's very weirdly balanced in terms of how much of it is actually taken up by the glass. Similar to how you don't want large bezels on your monitor, you probably don't want large bezels on the side panel of your case. And this one has pretty thick bezels, especially when also combined with a pretty thick front and also the giant PSU chamber, meaning that when you compare it to the overall size of the case, then the amount of the side panel that's actually see-through is kind of comically small and reminds me more of some of those older cases when see-through side panels with glass or even just acrylic was first becoming a thing, and they were almost just added on sufferance as this small little cutout in the middle surrounded by huge chunks of the side panel material on all sides. But whatever, minor critique, and I'm no design expert. If I was, I'd be doing something that actually earns money. But anyway, as you probably already saw, there are two massive fans at the very front of it, custom 180mm ones. However, when it comes to fan compatibility, here things get a bit more complicated between the two versions of this case. The regular and the flow we have here, which comes with pre-included fans. It also comes with this special panel above the two front fans to fill in the space not taken up by the 180mm config. However, it replaces the regular mounting that there is at the top for fans, meaning that you can't replace these with, for example, 3 120mm later down the line, but honestly, why would you want to? And also, because of it, you can't mount radiators to the front of the flow as well. So if you want to do water cooling, do it in the regular version. However, at the top, the situation is a lot simpler, with up to 360mm mounting for both fans and radiators, plus up to a 140mm at the back, pre-included in the flow. In terms of actually building inside of it, well, it supports up to E80X motherboards and has plenty of room for your graphics card as well, with up to 410mm of clearance. It also comes with this special adjustable GPU anti-sag bracket, which sits on these special rubber rails, which you can use to basically cable manage your build as well. Now, one thing to keep in mind is that this thing does not come with vertical GPU mounting, at least by default. You can, however, buy a separate accessory that allows that for a whopping $90, though it includes the riser and all the mounting hardware in one. Another thing you may notice about this case is this kind of ramp at the front, which basically provides better airflow to the graphics card specifically from the bottom fan, which is usually restricted by that PSU basement. Next, when you take the other side panel off, you'll see, oh, look at this plenty of pre-run, organized cable management channels which are sure to satisfy your OCD. They even tell you what they suggest running in every single one, so bonus points there, HAVN. It even comes with a fan hub in the top left that supports up to 6 fans, which, while a nice touch and can definitely save you on cables running to your motherboard, however it probably won't save you money on splitters given how most motherboards nowadays have at least 6 spare fan connectors, not to mention the fact that many other cases justify having a fan hub by having, well, either more than just 6 fan headers or by also bundling RGB controls as well. Here you get none of that. In terms of drive support, this thing can manage up to 2 3.5 inch or 8 2.5 inch drives, though you can also add an additional storage bay in the cable management tray to expand it even further. But HAVN, come on, where's my 5.25 inch base? Like, I know I'm the only person who cares about it, but I still have to actually call it out in every video, otherwise it wouldn't be a runner video. And especially when you're making a case this big, I mean, come on, why not do it? But whatever, I could do a whole rant about that, and I will, so definitely subscribe to the channel so you don't miss that. When you look at the front I/O, here you get a combo audio jack. You also get a Type-C port, which is USB 3.2 Gen 2, which, if you gave up keeping track of what that means, is essentially a 10 gigabit one. Plus you also get 2 5 gigabit USB Type-A ports, plus a power button and, wait, really? HAVN, no reset button? Why? What is it with so many cases nowadays not having a dedicated reset button? Was this some painful divorce I wasn't told about, not to hurt my feelings, and I'm just forced to put together the pieces? Because that's the only explanation I can think of why so many cases that we've been reviewing recently do not have a reset button anymore. Now, when it comes to the accessory box, after the great initial presentation, inside it kind of just looks sad. There are some nice things about it, like for example the fact that all the baggies are labeled, and the fact that you also get these useful little cable clips. However, it doesn't even come with Velcro cable ties, just the cheap, boring, turtle strangling plastic ones. And you don't even get any stickers with it, which is the biggest tragedy here. But now, let's talk cost. And I was actually genuinely positively surprised about how this thing doesn't cost as much as I feared, at $190 for the BF360 Flow, which is the version with fans, or you can get it completely naked for just $160. And given how the fans are priced at $20 or $30, then you're basically getting a $50 discount on fans by going with the Flow, and still, $190 is a lot of money. However, that's almost the same as that Corsair 10 keyless keyboard we recently did. And instead here you're getting a whole case for that price, and one that's really well put together. Though the thing is, when you make a case where attention to detail is key, every single little omission becomes that much more glaring. Now, none of the things I mentioned will probably be deal breakers to most of you, and if that's the case, then good for you. Go and buy it yourself, because the price isn't as bad as it could be, and there are so many neat ideas in this case, and you'll be continually finding new tiny little things they've done to make building in it that much easier. So if you want to get it yourself, then our links to it will be down in the video description below, where you're also going to find a Patreon, because even a single $1 a month truly goes a long way. Plus, huge thanks to Kevin Burns, Justin Rage, Ella Roniak, Balazs Voka, Patrick Harrison, on the pseudonym Meg Sumner, and Shane Allcroft. But anyway, that's about it, so I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, then remember to subscribe, like, whatever, and I'll see you all in whatever I make next. Goodbye everyone. Goodbye.